Entitlement is not something that enters your life with noise or warning. It doesn't walk in boldly announcing its intentions. Instead, it slips in quietly, doing its work in the shadows while you remain unaware of how deeply it is shaping your mindset. It often begins with a simple thought, a small whisper that tells you that you should have something just because you desire it. It convinces you that effort is optional and blessings are guaranteed. But the truth is that entitlement is one of the most dangerous attitudes a person can carry because it slowly erodes gratitude, responsibility, and humility, three qualities that are essential for growth, maturity, and spiritual strength. The dangerous part of entitlement is not how loud it speaks, but how subtle it is. It disguises itself as confidence, as expectation, even as faith. It tells you that wanting something is the same as earning it, that dreaming about something is the same as preparing for it. And before you know it, entitlement has convinced you that you are owed results without process, success without sacrifice, and influence without integrity. It tells you that you should be at the finish line even though you barely stepped onto the track. It makes you look at the blessings of others and feel like you deserve them more even though you didn't walk through their struggles or fight through their battles. Entitlement is a thief because it steals your ability to appreciate what you already have. It robs you of joy by telling you that what you hold isn't enough. It turns your focus toward what you lack instead of what you've been given. Slowly, you stop seeing your blessings as gifts and start seeing them as minimum requirements. You stop valuing the journey because you become fixated on the destination. And the more you listen to that voice, the weaker your character becomes, because entitlement never teaches you how to work, grow, stretch, or sacrifice. It only teaches you how to want. One of the most dangerous effects of entitlement is how it blinds you to your own areas of improvement. When you believe you deserve everything, you stop examining yourself. You stop looking inward. You stop asking the essential questions. What do I need to learn? What should I improve? What habits should I break? What attitude should I correct? Entitlement makes you believe that others need to change, not you. It convinces you that the world is unfair when in reality you have not yet prepared yourself for what you're asking for. Entitlement also keeps you from recognizing opportunities disguised as work. Sometimes the doorway to blessing is built out of responsibility. Sometimes your next level is wrapped in discipline, patience, and commitment. But entitlement convinces you that any form of effort is beneath you. It makes you reject the very things that would elevate you. It convinces you that you should receive the reward without participating in the journey. And when life doesn't hand you what entitlement promised, you begin to feel frustrated, stuck, or overlooked, not realizing that the trap was inside your mindset all along. Entitlement's whisper may be soft, but its consequences are loud. It steals growth, destroys gratitude, and blinds you to the beauty of process. It is a thief that must be recognized and removed before it robs you of everything meaningful you are meant to become. Blessings are never something we are owed. They are something we are entrusted with. This shift in perspective is powerful because it reminds us that everything good in our lives is not a guarantee, it is a gift. When we start believing that blessings are automatic, we begin to lose the humility that allows us to value them properly. But when we recognize that blessings are entrusted to us, not owed to us, we begin to handle them with care, with honor, and with responsibility. We understand that what we have is not just for our comfort, but also for our growth, our character, and our purpose. When something is entrusted to you, it means someone believed you were capable of managing it. Blessings work in the same way. They are not thrown at random or dropped into our laps because we want them. They are given because there is something within us worth developing, shaping, and strengthening. This means blessings come with weight. They carry expectations. They bring opportunities, but also responsibilities. And if we treat what we've been given as something we automatically deserve, we fail to grow into the person the blessing requires us to be. Seeing blessings as entrusted gifts creates gratitude. Gratitude grounds you. It keeps you from drifting into pride, arrogance, or entitlement. When you know you didn't earn everything you have, you become more thankful. You acknowledge that grace played a role in your story. You begin to handle your resources, talents, relationships, opportunities, and even your time with more intention. Gratitude turns what you have into enough, and it turns responsibility into an honor instead of a burden. Understanding that blessings are entrusted also helps you stay focused on stewardship. Stewardship means managing something well, even if it doesn't belong to you permanently. Everything in your life, your strength, your gifts, your opportunities, your influence, is something you are managing for a purpose bigger than yourself. When you see your blessings through that lens, you stop taking them for granted. You stop wasting them. You stop assuming that they will always be there. Instead, you nurture them, protect them, grow them, and multiply them. But when you believe blessings are owed to you, you stop valuing them. You misuse what you have. You ignore the responsibility that comes with it. You focus more on what you think is missing rather than honoring what is already in your hands. Thinking you are owed something shuts down your ability to appreciate the process behind the blessing. You expect to receive without giving, to grow without stretching, and to succeed without learning. And because of that, entitlement makes you mishandle opportunities that were meant to elevate you. When you see blessings as something entrusted, you understand that they are connected to your character. Blessings reveal who you are on the inside. They test your patience, your discipline, your humility, and your mindset. They reveal whether you can handle more or whether you need to grow where you are. When blessings are entrusted, they become mirrors that show you what needs strengthening within yourself. This perspective also teaches you to live with a sense of purpose. When you realize that what you have is not random, you start asking the right questions. Why was this given to me? What am I supposed to do with it? How can I use this to grow, to help, to serve, to build, to become better? These questions elevate your thinking and deepen your sense of responsibility. Blessings entrusted to you are opportunities to rise, opportunities to grow into strength, into wisdom, into maturity, and into a greater version of yourself. They are not owed to you, but they are given to you with intention and expectation. And when you live with that awareness, everything in your life becomes more meaningful, more valuable. Entitlement has a way of blinding you to the sacrifices of others, and it happens so quietly that you don't even realize your perspective has shifted. When you begin to think you deserve something simply because you want it, you stop seeing the long road someone else walked to achieve what you admire. You overlook the nights they stayed awake, the tears they cried, the failures they fought through, and the discipline they maintained when quitting would have been easier. Entitlement makes you see only the glory, not the grind, only the success, not the struggle, only the victory, not the valleys. It disconnects you from reality, creating a lens that filters out everything except your own desire. When you become entitled, you begin to judge outcomes without understanding the journeys behind them. You might see someone enjoying a blessing and tell yourself, that should be me, forgetting that you didn't endure what they endured. You don't know the prayers they prayed, the humiliation they survived, the sacrifices they made, or the storms they weathered. You don't see the hidden preparation that qualified them for what they carry now. Entitlement blinds you not only to their sacrifice, but also to your own need for development. It convinces you that desire is enough, that wanting something is equal to earning it, and that longing for a blessing means you are ready for it. When you can't see the sacrifices of others, you start minimizing their journey. You start believing that what they achieved came easily or quickly. And the danger in this is that it creates resentment instead of admiration. Instead of being inspired by their story, you become irritated by their success. Instead of celebrating their victory, you question their worthiness. Entitlement robs you of the humility needed to learn from others. It shuts down your ability to observe, to study, to grow, to appreciate the process someone else lived through. You may even begin to demand results without going through the same training, discipline, or struggle. The blindness caused by entitlement also stops you from accessing wisdom. Every person who carries something valuable had to pay a price for it: time, energy, patience, perseverance. If you can't recognize that you will never learn from their example, you will never ask the right questions, you will never seek the right mentors, you will never humble yourself enough to say, teach me what you know, show me how you got here. Entitlement turns potential students into prideful critics, robbing them of growth that could change their lives. It also blinds you to the interconnectedness of life. Many of the blessings you benefit from today were built by the sacrifices of people before you. Parents, leaders, mentors, teachers, communities. Someone prayed for you, worked for you, fought for you, created opportunities for you. And when entitlement blocks your view, you forget that you are standing on foundations laid by others. You begin to think you built the ground you're standing on, when in reality you are benefiting from the labor of hands you may never know. This blindness becomes especially dangerous because it keeps you from valuing what you have. When you don't see the sacrifice behind something, you don't respect it. You mishandle opportunities that cost someone else years of investment. You treat blessings casually because you don't realize the depth of what it took to bring them into existence. And once you stop valuing what you've been given, you eventually lose it. Seeing the sacrifices of others clearly is not just about honoring them, it's about transforming yourself. It humbles you, it teaches you, it shapes your character, and it prepares you for the day when someone will look at your life and see only the blessing, not the sacrifice you made to carry it. Destiny does not move because you demand it, and purpose does not unfold because you insist on it. Destiny responds to discipline, to consistency, to the willingness to develop the maturity required for the place you want to go. Many people believe that wanting something passionately is enough to qualify them for it. But desire without discipline is just daydreaming. The path to purpose is paved with commitment, commitment to growth, commitment to responsibility, commitment to the process that shapes you into the person who can carry the weight of the assignment you are asking for. When you rely on demands instead of discipline, you skip the internal development that prepares you for elevation. Demands focus on what you want. Discipline focuses on who you are becoming. Demands look outward and blame delays on everything around you. Discipline looks inward and asks, what must I improve to be ready for what I'm asking for? Demands are loud, emotional, and impatient. Discipline is quiet, steady, and relentless. And destiny always responds to the quiet strength of discipline, not the noise of demand. Many doors remain closed not because they are locked permanently, but because the person standing in front of them has not grown into the character required to walk through them. Purpose is not something you grab, it is something you grow into. Elevation requires stability. Influence requires integrity. Blessings require stewardship. Without discipline, you mishandle what you prayed for. You fumble what you worked for. You lose what you hoped for, not because you were unqualified, but because you were unprepared. Discipline teaches you patience, and patience teaches you timing. There are moments when destiny is waiting on you, not the other way around. Discipline strengthens your habits, and your habits shape your future. Everything meaningful in life demands some form of sacrifice. You cannot gain anything of value without giving something of yourself, your time, your effort, your energy, your comfort. Discipline stretches you in private so you can stand strong in public. It builds muscles in your character that demand alone can never create. The truth is, demands may get attention for a moment, but they never build long-term success. Even if a door opens because you demanded it, you won't have the stability to stay there. Discipline, on the other hand, builds foundations. It gives you strength to maintain what you worked for. It prepares you not just for the blessing, but for the responsibility that comes after the blessing. Destiny responds to people who show up consistently even when they don't feel like it. It responds to those who practice when no one applauds them, who grow when no one notices, who study when no one sees, who sacrifice when no one praises them. These are the people who are transformed from the inside out, who develop the emotional, mental, and spiritual capacity to handle what they've been praying for. Discipline also creates clarity. When you are disciplined, you stop chasing everything and start focusing on what matters. You stop moving out of impulse and start moving with intention. Purpose becomes clearer because your mind is not scattered. Your heart is not divided. Your energy is not wasted. Discipline gathers your strength so that destiny can direct it. Ultimately, destiny is not a destination you stumble into. It is the result of choices you make daily. Choices to grow when you could stay comfortable. Choices to practice when you could relax. Choices to stay committed when you could quit. Discipline is the language destiny understands, the currency purpose accepts, and the bridge that carries you from potential to fulfillment. Entitlement changes the posture of your heart in ways you don't immediately recognize. It begins quietly shifting your mindset from appreciation to expectation. What once felt like a blessing starts feeling like a requirement. What once filled you with gratitude begins to feel like something you should automatically receive. The danger in this shift is subtle but powerful, because the moment you stop being grateful, you stop growing. Gratitude opens your hands, entitlement closes them, and a closed hand can't receive anything new. When gratitude is present, you see everything as a gift. You wake up aware that life itself is a privilege. You handle relationships with care, opportunities with humility, and progress with appreciation. You recognize that even the small things, peace, breath, strength, a new day, are evidence of grace. Gratitude softens the heart. It keeps you humble. It teaches you to honor what you have instead of obsessing over what you don't. But entitlement works in the opposite direction. It hardens your heart. It creates a sense of lack even when you're surrounded by abundance. It convinces you that nothing is ever enough. Entitlement shifts you from saying thank you to saying, is this all? And once that shift happens, fulfillment begins to disappear. You could have more than you've ever had and still feel empty. You could be further than you've ever been and still feel unsatisfied. Entitlement traps you in a mindset where you always want more but never appreciate what's already in your hands. It moves you from gratitude to greed, and greed is a hunger that can never be satisfied. It doesn't matter how much you gain, there will always be a longing for more because the heart has forgotten how to appreciate. This shift also affects your relationships. When you lose gratitude, you stop valuing the people around you. You start taking them for granted. You expect more from them while giving less of yourself. You begin to assume that support, kindness, loyalty, and love are things you should automatically receive rather than things you should honor, nurture, and reciprocate. Entitlement drains the life out of relationships because it replaces appreciation with assumption. Gratitude builds connection, but entitlement destroys it. Entitlement also interferes with your spiritual posture. When you forget how to be grateful, your prayers become demands rather than conversations. Your worship becomes a transaction rather than an expression. You stop noticing the blessings that surround you because you're too focused on the ones you think are missing. And when the heart becomes blind to what it already has, it becomes unable to receive what is meant for the future. Gratitude strengthens your character by reminding you that everything you've received is not guaranteed. It keeps your spirit grounded. It creates joy. It builds peace. But when entitlement replaces gratitude, you lose touch with the very qualities that make you capable of receiving more. You may ask for bigger blessings, but your heart is shrinking in the process. You may desire new opportunities, but entitlement makes you reckless with the ones you already have. The shift from gratitude to greed happens slowly, almost silently, but its effects are loud. It steals your peace, your joy, your appreciation, and your sense of purpose. Gratitude elevates you, but entitlement limits you. And until you return to a posture of gratitude, nothing will ever feel like enough. Many people blame the enemy, circumstances, or even other people for the delays they experience in life. But sometimes the real barrier is a mindset shaped by entitlement. Entitlement creates expectations that are disconnected from effort and responsibility. It convinces you that something should happen for you, even when nothing is happening in you. And when what you're expecting doesn't appear, you assume you're being blocked, resisted, or overlooked, when in reality the hindrance is coming from the inside. Entitlement slows your progress because it keeps you from engaging fully in the process required for elevation. It makes you believe you're waiting on an open door when the truth is the door is waiting on you to grow. There are moments in life when the blessing is ready, the opportunity is ready, the path is ready, but you are not. And entitlement can blind you to that truth. It makes you think you're prepared when you haven't yet developed the maturity, discipline, or character needed for the next level. It convinces you that readiness is based on desire alone, not development. You may feel ready emotionally, but readiness is measured in consistency, growth, humility, and responsibility. Entitlement creates a false sense of readiness, and that false readiness produces frustration when things don't move at the pace you want. Sometimes the delay is actually protection. If you were to receive what you're asking for without growing into the person who can sustain it, it would collapse in your hands. You might mishandle the opportunity, misuse the blessing, or destroy what you prayed for because you don't yet have the foundation to carry it. Entitlement pushes you toward positions you haven't prepared for. It pushes you toward influence without wisdom, responsibility without discipline, and elevation without endurance. When you try to occupy a space you're not ready for, it becomes a burden rather than a blessing. When entitlement rules your mindset, you stop learning from the process. You skip the lessons, you resist correction, you avoid the uncomfortable spaces that stretch and develop you. You compare your pace to others and assume you're behind. You see their progress and assume it means you're being hindered. But growth is not delayed because someone else is advancing. Growth is delayed because you're not embracing what's required for your own development. Entitlement keeps you stagnant because it makes you think you've already done enough, already learned enough, already sacrificed enough, even when your inconsistent actions prove otherwise. There are times when the enemy has nothing to do with the delays you're experiencing. Sometimes the delay is divine. Sometimes it's purposeful. Sometimes it's necessary. But many times it's internal. It's rooted in attitudes that block growth. Entitlement stops you from taking responsibility for your own journey. It makes you see preparation as punishment, humility as humiliation, and discipline as inconvenience. And until you address that mindset, the progress you want will continue to feel far away. The moment you let go of entitlement, something shifts. You stop waiting passively and start growing actively. You stop assuming and start preparing. You stop demanding and start developing. And when your posture changes, your pace changes. What felt like delay starts turning into alignment. What felt like stagnation becomes progress. What felt like resistance becomes readiness, because often destiny is not delayed, it's simply waiting on you to rise to the level of what you're asking for. You cannot desire elevation and expect to bypass preparation. Every level you dream of carries a weight, and preparation is what builds the strength needed to carry that weight. Entitlement tries to convince you that wanting that something deeply is the same as being ready for it. But desire and readiness are not the same. Desire is emotional. Preparation is transformational. Elevation requires you to grow into the person who can sustain the blessing you are asking for. Without the inner development that preparation creates, elevation becomes dangerous rather than rewarding. Preparation is not glamorous. It doesn't always feel good, and it rarely gets applause. It shows up in early mornings when no one is watching, in late nights when your strength is fading, in seasons where it feels like nothing is changing. Preparation stretches you, humbles you, shapes you, and forces you into areas of discomfort, because growth is impossible without discomfort. You may pray for bigger opportunities, but you cannot walk into them with small habits. You may desire influence, but you can't steward influence without discipline. You may want responsibility, but responsibility without preparation leads to collapse. Elevation exposes what preparation strengthens. There are people who dream of greater things, but resist the process required to handle those things. They want the promise, but not the pressure. They want the platform, but not the practice. They want the position, but not the perseverance. Preparation is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. If you refuse the bridge, you cannot reach the destination. Every blessing has a burden, and preparation is what teaches you to carry that burden without breaking. If you walk into elevation without preparation, the very thing you prayed for can overwhelm you. You might mismanage the opportunity because your habits are not aligned with the responsibility it demands. You might shrink under the weight because your character hasn't matured. You might lose what you've gained because you didn't build the discipline to sustain it. Preparation protects you from premature promotion. It ensures that you don't enter a season you are not yet built for. Preparation also refines your mindset. It teaches you patience, focus, and resilience. It helps you understand timing, because elevation is not just about who wants it, but who is ready for it. It teaches you to delay gratification, to endure difficulty, and to embrace the slow but steady work that produces lasting results. Many people want elevation quickly, but quick elevation without preparation leads to quick collapse. The process matters because it produces the strength required for the promise. There is also a humbling aspect to preparation. It teaches you to serve before you lead, to learn before you instruct, to listen before you speak. It develops the humility needed to handle success without arrogance and failure without breaking. Preparation builds the foundation your future will stand on. Without it, even the greatest opportunities crumble. You cannot deeply desire elevation and avoid preparation. The desire may ignite the journey, but preparation sustains it. The dream may motivate you, but preparation equips you. The vision may inspire you, but preparation qualifies you. And when you finally step into the elevation you prayed for, you'll realize that the preparation wasn't punishment, it was protection. It was molding you into someone who